the stories of entrepreneurs and how they overcame the struggles and challenges to get where they are today. This is Believe in the Entrepreneur with Joel Sandoval, CPA.
What's going on? Welcome to another episode of Believe in the Entrepreneur, and I'm super excited because I have Evert Jafet Calderon here in the house, who's a credit specialist. And Evert, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome. So for those that don't know Evert, he's a young first generation Salvadorian entrepreneur who kind of went through the struggles of in life and business, just like every other entrepreneur, and has built a pretty successful credit business. But obviously that didn't happen overnight, right?
Yeah, not at all.
So tell me a little bit about yourself, Evert. Tell me about, I know we were talking a little bit before the show how, you watched things on social media. You wasn't sure what you wanted to do, but you knew you wanted to be an entrepreneur. So tell me about your story. How did you become who you are right now?
Really started when I was after high school. I was going to college. And then obviously it was more so for my parents, kind of just fulfilling that dream for them. And then I was going and I was like, you know what? I don't think this is it for me. Like, I'm not getting the fulfillment from it. So I was going 2-3 semesters, and then I took a chemistry class. And I mean, chemistry is kind of hard. So I ended up passing the class with a 70.1. So
Nice.
Barely passed it. And then I was just talking about my sister with the other day. When I dropped out with a 0.67 GPA.
Oh, wow.
So then I was like, you know what, Mom? Like, nah, this isn't it. Like, I got to go do my own thing. And it's funny because, I was just talking with my dad the other day. He's like, it kind of all worked out in the end. So when I was going to college, I was just looking on Instagram. And then obviously you see everybody on Instagram, the Lamborghinis, the private jets, traveling and everything. And it kind of gets you interested. Like, how are they doing it? Because for us, it's, you go to college, get a good job, retire 65 or whatever it may be.
Right.
But these guys are doing it in their 30s.
Yeah.
I don't know, there's something off. So my whole journey started with real estate.
Okay.
So wholesaling. That was the big thing in 2016. Everybody was pushing wholesaling.
Right.
So got a course and did everything. Went to Arizona for a mastermind. And it was cool. I was able to be around different individuals and really expand my mindset as far as this is really possible for anybody who's willing to do the work.
Right.
And that's the key work, the key word, willing to do the work.
For sure.
Everybody thinks it's just, let me make a story and everything's just going to happen overnight.
Right.
So that was probably summer 2015, leading up to beginning of 2016. So I was 18, turned 19 that summer. And then, I was doing marketing. I was running around town, going into abandoned homes, ran into some squatters and everything. So yeah. It was a struggle that ended up failing just because I ended up running out of money, so I couldn't fund that business. And then I was like, okay, well, what do I got to do next? So then January, I ended up going to a small meetup, and then from there, I was into social media marketing. So I was like, okay, well, I can market a business.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just a random Wednesday night. I ended up going to LA, went to that meetup, and I ended up getting a client. So got a client. So it was $1,000 a month, do the social media work. So it was cool, I was getting some money. So I was like, okay, I can actually do this.
Yep.
So it kind of gave me that self-belief. Then from there, probably 6-7 months, I almost got bored of it in a way. So then I wasn't able to scale it for some reason. Something just wasn't working out.
Yeah.
So I knew it was a me issue. So I got to fix it somehow.
Right.
And then from there, we just kind of went to drop shipping. That was a big thing. E-com was cool. I made pretty good money. I was making probably $300-$500 a day. And I was like, all right, it's sustainable. But then after a while, I wasn't able to scale. So then I'm like, okay, well, it's another me issue,
Right.
So how do I figure this out? But this whole time, my now business partner, he's always been my mentor to me. So, he's always been kind of behind my back, just helping me out with things.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? Let me just kind of go back to corporate world. So I was working at Nestle. I was in the research and development department.
Okay.
I had no idea how I got there, but interview, I was just like, I got experience. I'm gonna do this. So I was 2021 working there, which is pretty cool. I ended up making ice cream packaging for a product that came out in China.
Oh,
so I'm like, all right, cool. It's pretty decent. So we're 2018 now, and then I'm like, all right, well, real estate, I've always wanted to do it. And then my business partner, he had the credit business. And I was like, all right, well, maybe I can do this. So quit my job just cold. And then I was like, all right, let's go do the credit. So I was going door knocking around everywhere. Like, I was trying to push the credit business. And then nothing again. And I was like, dude, really? Like, I don't know what's going on. So then 2018, end of it, kind of like a dark year for me. Like mentally, a lot of blockages and everything, a lot of personal issues going on. So I was just with my friends, and I was like, you know what, like, let's just do something. So we started doing YouTube, just messing around. YouTube was here and there. Unfortunately, like, because of copyright issues, we weren't able to make all that money. If not, it would have been a pretty nice payout. Yeah. But you live and you learn. Right. And then, but at this time, like, I had no other income coming in. So I was like, man, what do I do? Like, so I only know how to work, right? I was like, let me just start from the bottom. So I went to go get a job at a grocery store. So I was pushing carts. All my homies would come and say, hey, like, you shouldn't be here. Like, you know, what are you doing? Like, you got to do more. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, but like, I got to start off back on my feet somehow. So did that for 3 months exactly. And then after that, we went on YouTube for 3 months. We had a pretty good summer, but again, it wasn't sustainable. I was like, dude, what am I doing? Like, there's something like not working. Is it me or like what's going on? Then I went to work at a gym. So I was working at the gym end of 2019. And then that really helped me out a lot. I think that's like my transition period. Okay. Then when I was able to talk to more people, my social skills went up the roof. I was selling a lot more. So everything that I've been working and studying for the last few years kind of all bundled together at the gym. But at the same time, it was like, okay, I'm doing all this, but obviously like the income could be a lot higher. And then honestly, the pandemic's probably one of the best things that could have happened to me. Wow. Like I was there and then like at home and I was like, hey, like I'm just at home. Like I'm not being fulfilled. There's no fulfillment to it. Yeah. So then went to my mentor, business partner. I was like, you know what? Like it's time. Like let's just go all in. I was like, the world, I don't know what's going to happen with the world right now, but we might as well just go all in and see what happens. Yeah. So summer 2020, that's when we went in. And then I just full throttle. Like I didn't look back. And then now looking back on everything else, I think I would have had success, but I just need to get over that hump. Yeah. You know, so now it's just, I mean, we're in a great position now. So now it's only, we're just trying to get to the next level. That's cool. And you know what's interesting is that from your story is there's a couple things that I got from it. One is like you're like an action taker. Yeah. Like you're not scared to get your boots dirty and get get things started, right? No, kind of like that takeoff for the airplane, right? Yeah. It takes a lot of energy, but then once you have some energy, like you probably you're not sure how to like keep the flight going. Yeah. And it's like exactly. You almost need like that co-pilot, like, hey, just keep stay on track, right? Stay on track, like you're doing good and stuff. And like, hey, this is the stuff that you need, the foundation to scale, right? Because in real estate, you weren't able to scale it. Same thing with everything else you did. Your e-commerce, you got a couple $100 coming in every day, but then it's like, oh man, how do I get to scale? When really it was like the gym, it's like, oh man, I'm missing people skills, I'm missing XYZ, and then you finally say, you know what, I'm gonna go all in. And when you went all in, it's like when things took off. And I think that's important for people because it's very easy to get distracted. Yeah. Especially as on social media, right? Like you said, you saw like the private jets, you saw the lifestyle, and then you're like, oh man, maybe if I did e-commerce, I could be successful, right? And then you're like, oh, you know what? Real estate didn't work. And then after you're like, man, e-commerce doesn't work. Let me try something else, right? And it's the same thing that's happening now with NFTs and with, cryptocurrency and stuff. It's very easy to get distracted. But at least in my experience, like the most success I've ever had is when I've just, been focused on what I'm good at. And then I just keep getting better every year. And then I just keep attracting more business. Yeah. I mean, it's that 1% rule, you try to get better 1% each day. I think kind of going back to social media, like I'll have a lot of, I want to say probably 18, 20-year-olds who reach out to me. They're like, oh, how do I get to, where you're at or what I got to do? And I just tell them, like, just stop looking at social media. Mm-hmm. Like, I use it as a tool. Like, some people get mad at me sometimes, like, oh, well, you didn't respond or anything like that. But it's like, I go on there, do my business, and I'm out. Yeah. Like, if it was for me, like, I wouldn't be on social. Yeah. I like being low key about it. But obviously, I know that's what's going to sell. Right. So one of the best books I ever read was Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. And I think it goes to show that in today's age, it's very easy to get satisfaction. And, you know, so let's say you want to start a new business, you make a post about it. You know, you got 10 people hitting you up. Oh, congrats.
Right.
So you get that dopamine level,
Mm-hmm.
and then you feel accomplished already. So now, because you feel accomplished, you don't move on to the next step.
Right.
So I think that's like the biggest thing when it comes to like wanting to build something for yourself is kind of hold back from showcasing everything.
Right.
So you don't get hit with that dopamine level, and then just be your biggest fan. You know, like there's nobody going to root harder for you than yourself.
For sure. And it's pretty interesting that you're saying like, hey, you know, I don't go on social media when you're like, I've seen your Instagram and your TikTok, like you have, you know, pretty good amount of followers and stuff. And it's like, you know, for what I've noticed is like the actual social media stars actually they're actually just putting content out there.
Yeah.
They're not really consuming as much content.
Yeah. Like I think like I'll probably scroll probably like 2 or 3 times after I'm like, all right, cool. Like I'm done. Like,
Yeah.
Is there any messages I got to get back to? If not, then all right.
For sure.
You know, so it's one of those things like how you use a vehicle too.
Right. Yeah. Cause social media is powerful, but you got to know how to use it.
Yeah.
Right. You can use it to consume it, which is cool too. But putting content out there, I mean, that's like you said, it's a tool. And if you use it properly, it can help you just, you know, blow up your business. And you probably had a little bit of experience with that when you did, like, you got your first social media client that was paying you $1,000 a month. And you're like, hey, I know how to market, right? And I would imagine, like, with you getting businesses started, right? Maybe not maintaining them, but just to get them started, like, that takes marketing.
Yeah.
It takes marketing effort. So, like, that kind of came natural to you. But you kind of learn, like, the business skills. Like, all right, like, what's that next step? Like you're saying. Like, now that I got that dopamine, like, all right, how do I get another dopamine feel? But now with the next step.
Yeah. So it's like, now, how do I keep on scaling? You know, so launching it's, I think, probably where a lot of people struggle when it comes to launching a business.
Right.
But I don't know. For me, sometimes it just comes very natural.
Right.
Launching the business. But that maintaining part, now, that's where the personal brand is very big nowadays.
Right.
Because nobody wants to buy from a company. They want to buy from you, like who you are, what you stand for, your core beliefs.
For sure.
You know, so one other thing that I tell everybody too, like, I never hard close anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you want to buy the product, completely fine. If you don't, that's completely fine as well.
Right.
You know, but I don't want to leave that sour taste in somebody's mouth. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this guy hard closed me.
Yeah.
You know, because image is everything. People talk. One bad thing, you know, business is down the drain.
Yeah. And then that's what branding is your reputation.
Yeah.
So, and I think when you have a good personal brand, then like you don't have to do a hard sell.
Yeah, not at all.
Because people already know you. So they just have to be able to make the decision and move forward.
Yeah, like one of the things I take pride into is obviously, like, as far as my business goes, there's other infrastructures I could work on to scale it even more. But, you know, day by day we're trying to get there. But I'll have people who I've contacted probably September. It's like 7 months down the road now.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just call me, hey, I'm ready to get started.
Nice.
And that's with no follow-up, no nothing. That's just them kind of like probably just being on my socials.
Right.
And just kind of, okay, you know what? I think this guy might be true. He might be legit.
Right.
So that's the biggest thing when it comes to social media, because I mean, there's a lot of scamming going on. So
right.
I mean, people have a right to be kind of weary of who they do business with.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, it's good to have your guard up, but I think like you said, people start to consume more content and you're like, oh man, this guy actually knows what he's talking about, and that builds trust. And then now it's just like, hey, you know what? I wasn't ready, but now I am.
Yeah, and I mean, everybody's gonna do it on their own time. Like, I think a lot of like when you're first starting up, you just kind of want to force somebody, oh, well, buy this product, you know. Or sometimes you take it a little personal, as why isn't this person, you know, buying my product or service? But it's not like that at all. You know, business is business.
Yeah.
You know, so at that point, it's just something along that funnel of them buying just wasn't in place. So now you just got to look back at it. And I take everything as a learning experience. For
sure. Yeah, I think if you learn from if you get feedback, it just helps you get better.
Yeah.
But what I want to talk about, Everett, because a lot of people, you said, a lot of people have a hard time starting businesses, right? Mm-hmm. And like for me, that was actually one of the hardest things for me because, I'm a CPA and I knew my craft. I knew how to do tax returns and, I was getting paid 6 figures. Like I went the traditional route. I actually got like a good GPA. And I got inspired by not necessarily social media, but I read like entrepreneurial books.
Okay.
And I started reading, like, for example, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I got inspired by that. And that's what led me to like, you know what? I can do my own thing. I can start my own business. But I didn't know how to start a business. Like that was like for me, the first year or first 2 years, it was tough.
Yeah.
And now that like I'm good at maintaining businesses.
Okay.
I'm like the opposite of you. Like
Yeah.
once it's up and running, it's like, oh dude, it's smooth sailing now. But in the beginning, man, it was hard. So I want to know, like, for you, it actually comes natural, and it was the opposite. Like maintaining was actually more difficult for you. So tell me, like, your process. Like, let's say you know, when you launch your e-commerce business or your, you know, real estate business or your credit agency, like, what are the steps? Like, what goes through your mind and say, all right, let's start this. I'm gonna start this business. This is the, you know, A to Z.
Well, touching on e-com first, it's what are you gonna sell? Who's gonna be the buyer? Have that in mind. So when I was doing e-com, I was like, okay, let's say I want to sell clothing. Okay, I want to sell clothing, but is it going to be for men or women? Okay, well, let's say men, right? Mm-hmm. Then from there, you can take it even down a level. Like, okay, well, what type of clothing? A shirt. Okay, shirt. What's going to be on the shirt? So at that time, it was 2016, so it was political campaigns going on. So I was like, let me do a political shirt. So I was selling political shirt, and then it's just how you market it. So I could run a Facebook ad, but when you have no data in your pixel, you're just going to be throwing money down the drain because it has nowhere to get data from and pick it up. So I was like, oh, how can I do this? So I was like, you know what? There's Instagram pages catered to different niches. So I just started DMing Instagram pages that were in that niche, and I was like, how much for a story shout out? Be like, oh, $20, swipe up, link 5. I was like, oh, 5 more. I was like, all right, cool, 25. So I do one page here. As soon as that one is about to end, I set up another one. So I was just doing everything off of Instagram, which is like, I love Instagram, but at the same time, it's like, I hate it, you know? So Instagram is probably one of the biggest things that's helped my businesses.
For sure. So that's pretty cool. So like you actually, you know, took the time to, because some people, like for me, I'm just like, all right, let's get started. But I didn't take the time to analyze, like, all right, like, what's a shirt? Or like, what am I selling, first of all, right? Yeah. Clothes. All right, now that it's clothes, what type of clothes? Okay, shirt. Now what's going to be on the shirt? Right? Niching down to that, you know, the niche is so important because it's like, now you know who's going to buy that shirt.
Yeah, I mean, it's that, like that saying goes, you know, the riches is in the niches.
Right.
Which is true, because once you narrow it down, then you're good to go. Then you just start scaling at that point.
Right. So once you found your niche, then you started basically collaborating with other people that already had a social media presence that were in that niche.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like piggy banking, you know? So you're like, well, I don't have a following, but they do. If I give them some money, I'm pretty sure they'd want to, I mean, everybody wants to earn some money.
Right.
You know, so let me just use their following and me profit off it on the back end.
Right.
So that's all it was. I mean, that was sustainable for a while, but kind of same thing. Like, it was a personal thing where I was like, why can't I get over it? So it's always very important to have a mentor, you know, like for me, it's like, it's my business partner, mentor, like all in one. So it's pretty cool. Like, he's been in the game since 2006, you know, he does real estate, home loans, and the credit.
Oh, nice.
So, you know, he went through that whole first like home crash and everything. So he's been in for a while. So he's always helped me out when it comes to things like that. So now we've been able to sustain it, and now we're just trying to make it, you know, big. Yeah,
that's cool. I think, like, you know, once you you launched it, you knew that you needed kind of that partner or that coach or that mentor that to basically kind of like just put things aligned for you. That was huge for me because, you know, you can't. It's very difficult to see where you're failing, right? Yeah. Because you just like you have like a tunnel vision almost, and it's not until, like, for example, like, I'll go home and my wife will be like, oh, you haven't done this and you haven't done that. And I'm like, oh, damn, you're right. And it's very easy to get defensive too. Be like, oh, you know, like, I don't want to do that. But it's like, if they have good intentions, if your coach or your mentor has good intentions, it's like, take that in.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it kind of goes like that tough love saying, you know, like if they're telling you something, you know, listen to it. You have that person in your life for a reason.
Right.
You know, they're not just somebody who just randomly popped up. You know, they're in your life for a reason. I'm always open to criticism, you know, and then from there, like, okay, you know what, let me analyze it. Okay, maybe they're right. You know, let me do something a little different.
Right.
And sure enough, I mean, they're right.
Right.
You know, so it works. So always be open to criticism. Like, yeah. There's no point in trying to be closed off and thinking you have everything figured out when you don't. Yeah.
I think that's key because, you know, when people like think they know it all, it's like, dude, those are the ones that know the least.
Yeah.
They don't have that open mind.
And I think that's kind of what was going on with me too when I was young. You know, I was like, oh, like, I've seen the YouTube videos, I've read the books, I've done the courses, I know it all. You know, little did I know, I didn't know it all. So I mean, now it's just a constant, like, always learning, reading, just seeing who's ahead of me so I can kind of mimic, because success always leaves clues.
Right. Yeah, I think that's key, because it's like, for me, like I just started my fitness journey, and I've always worked out, but I didn't really, not until I hired a personal trainer. Like you said, success leaves clues. I hired someone that had the physique.
Yeah.
I hired somebody that had like what I wanted, and it's like, I hit up the gym for the first time with him, and he's like, hey, this is how you work out. I'm like, dude, I've been doing it wrong all these years. And it's like, success leaves clues. So you got to find that person or that mentor that has the results that you want, and then just soak it all in, because they have the information, they have the mindset, they have the experience. Like for you, your partner, has been in the game since 2006.
Yeah. So,
right.
I mean, obviously it shortens that learning curve.
Oh, for sure.
And then kind of like touching back, like personal trainer, maybe it might have been just the way your wrists were rotated on a workout.
Right.
That can make all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
That's the same thing for business. Like maybe one thing that you say in your sales pitch could change the whole game for you.
Oh, for sure.
So it's always the minor things that make a big difference.
And it's so funny that you say that, because like sometimes, like when my coach will point things out, like even in business, like when you're talking about sales pitch, it's like, dude, if you just said the exact same thing, but said it this other way, like you would have closed the deal.
Yeah.
But because you said it this way, you didn't.
Yeah. Like for me, tonality is very big.
Yeah.
Like that's one, like I would say like it's a script, but I mean, it's just kind of like what I say.
Right.
But depending on who I have on the phone, that tonality will always change to accommodate them.
Oh, for sure.
So you have to be very aware of who's on the other side of the phone or who's in front of you.
Yeah.
How you say it. And that makes a big difference. How you say it.
Oh yeah, how you say it for sure. And then tonality too, right? Like whether you're speaking soft or raising your voice, right? That's all part of like, your sales presentation, and also just your branding too, right?
Yeah.
If you're like, on a post and you're upset or mad, it's like people feel that energy.
Oh,
right.
definitely.
But if you're just like more, hey guys, what's going on? Maybe a little bit more sad, they feel that energy.
Yeah, people gravitate towards that.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy to read somebody, like even through a screen.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So, and people are very observant.
Mm-hmm.
So if they pick up something they're not too fond of, they're not gonna do business with you.
Right.
That's all it takes.
For sure. And I think what I've learned too is like in the beginning when I started like putting myself out there, I was very uncomfortable with like, basically having haters. Like, oh, dude, they're not going to like my personality. Like now I'm starting to like see comments on, I just saw one actually before he popped up, like just hating on one of my posts because I had my Corvette, and it's like, hey, I can help you earn a Corvette by the amount of tax savings. And then people just, don't have, I guess, better things to say. But what I realized is like, what? It doesn't matter, because I'm not trying to attract that type of person.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, that's how my TikTok is. Like, it's all full of, hate comments. So
yeah,
I just find it funny. But it's funny because I know at the same time, those comments are going to get me more engagement.
That's funny.
So I'll see, positive comments. I'm like, okay, cool, give it a like or whatever.
Yeah.
But then there's that one person who always has something to say.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, let me mess with him. So I start messing with him.
Yeah.
Sure enough, like, I had him coming back to my page and commenting like for a whole hour.
Really?
So I was like, bro, thank you. Like, that's the engagement right there that I wanted. So obviously, like, you just got to play it at that point.
Yeah.
So it's funny.
That's pretty cool that you're actually picking back off that.
Yeah.
That as well.
And like, that's what I tell like everybody who's just with us at the office, like, I always do things with intent. I don't want to just do something just to do it.
Right.
Like, it has to have a purpose behind it. Like,
right.
I like being fulfilled.
Right.
I like having a purpose in life. So I'm always like, okay, let me how do I get the upper hand if somebody's trying to bring me down?
Right.
So I think one time, like, I woke up and I don't know, this guy just like went to my TikTok, downloaded my video, posted on his TikTok, tagged me in it. And then from there, he's like stitched the video or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then he went onto his Instagram, posted the video there, tagged me. And I'm like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like,
Right.
I just took like so much time out of your day, like, all for him just to delete it later. So I'm like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like,
yeah,
I'm not the first one to say this. Like, obviously, everybody else is saying that who's in like the credit field,
right.
Just because it didn't sit right with you, like, that's fine. But I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. So I was like, whatever, man. I mean, you got your views, I guess.
Yeah,
So,
but I think what you said is key. Is like, do everything with intent, right? Like if someone's trying to, bring you down, It's like, all right, how can I play with this, get some engagement,
Yeah.
while at the same time, still have that upper hand?
Yeah, I mean, you just gotta have fun with it too.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, like kind of like that Corvette comment. Like I don't know, man. Like people, I don't know, they take it too serious sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of goes back to marketing.
Right.
Marketing is just flirting.
Yeah.
So obviously you don't want to say too much. You don't want to say too little. You just want to say just what's right.
Right.
So that's kind of how I do my TikTok. So obviously it could rub people the wrong way. I'm like, oh, well, I don't know how I feel about that. But I mean, hey, like at the end of the day, like I know my intentions are pure and good.
Right.
And I can help you.
Right.
I just have to promote it this way so I can get your attention.
Exactly. And that's what marketing is getting your attention.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah. And then I think once people actually follow your page, like you said, eventually they'll see that you have good intentions.
Yeah.
Right. Because they'll be like, oh man, this guy actually knows what he's doing. Right.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like I think I had this one comment one time. Like I was doing a brand deal video. So the brand deal video, like I'm doing the video about somebody else's company, right?
Okay.
Like reputable company and everything. I have my chains out, and then this person's like, well, you shouldn't film the video with chains. It kind of makes you look scammy. And I'm like, I've had chains on since I was a little kid. Like, I'm not going to change my image to appease you.
Right.
So it's just funny. Like, people will find the littlest thing to like, kind of like, well, trying to hate on you. So it's just funny.
Yeah.
But you gotta take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Know? And then you got to have tough skin.
Right.
When it comes to social media. Because, I mean, you're posting your whole life public. So people are always gonna have something to say. For sure. It's probably gonna be most negative than positive.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, just have fun with it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just have fun with it. And I think if you have the right mindset, and it's like, dude, you're just helping me out by you posting these negative comments because you're boosting my engagement. And at the end of the day, like, I'm just taking it with a grain of salt anyway.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people take it too serious when they first start off, but you just gotta have fun with it.
For sure.
And just, for me, like, if I make myself look like a fool, like, I'm having fun.
Yeah.
So I take it fun. That's why, like, TikTok's probably one of my favorite platforms right now, too. So TikTok and Instagram are big right now.
For sure. Yeah. TikTok is like the new Instagram back, a few years ago. So,
yeah. So, kind of the way that I describe it is TikTok is your traffic. Instagram is more like your authority app. Once you have more followers, people kind of take it a little bit more serious. Right. And then your celebrity status would be your YouTube account. So that's kind of how I see it. Right. And kind of holds true because if you think about everybody who's, kind of a big name, they have a strong YouTube presence.
Oh, for sure.
So that's something I want to work on.
Yeah.
This year. I always say I'm going to do it, but I got to get to it now.
Nice. That's cool. So tell me a little bit about, I'm going to take you a little bit back first because you wanted to basically make your parents proud, right? So you went to school and then you realized that it wasn't for you. And then you kind of ventured off on these different businesses. But now with, this credit agency has been like, now you're focused, right? Yeah. So tell me a little bit about like, how has your journey been now that you're in the credit business? Like, how did you went all in, but tell me a little bit about how you got it from where you started and where you're at now.
Yes, at first it's kind of started like my situation, like, when I was going to that college and transitioning into the entrepreneur world, I ended up losing my job. So I got fired from there, and then obviously I had things that I was paying on, couldn't pay them anymore, went into collections. So that's kind of one of like coming back to it, being stubborn and not wanting to take advice from anybody when you're young. I was like, oh, whatever, I'll just buy it in cash later. And then you get older and you realize, oh, are you really gonna cough up $100,000 for like a house, a car, or whatever? Right. I'm just like, okay, well, maybe people were right. Maybe I should focus on my credit. Right. So kind of let it slide and everything, and then I was like, okay, well, I think you really need credit to kind of make it in life. Right. So, but kind of it goes back to me wanting to educate people more so than actually trying to help people with the credit repair process, if that makes sense.
That does make sense.
So I just want to be able to educate. Because when I was younger, all I heard my parents is, oh, just buy it on a credit card, pay back later. Seems like a pretty solid advice when you're young. So, but you don't realize, there's credit utilization, there's payment history, then there's the interest, so I was like, okay, well, how to start? So then I just became obsessed with it. So I just started reading books, and then I realized everybody who's doing all these things on social media, they're utilizing credit, they're leveraging credit. Right. I'm like, that makes sense now. So at first, when we first started off, the business model was completely different. So we were doing per account. We were charging per account. Okay. We had a cap. We wouldn't charge people more than 10 accounts.
Okay.
Even if they had 20 accounts that they had to work on, we wouldn't charge them the full 20, just to be reasonable with people. We don't feel people should be punished for maybe an event that happened in their life or the lack of, the proper choices when it comes to using your credit.
Right.
So we felt like we were being reasonable.
Right.
And then from there, that was cool, but it wasn't sustainable because we would have to frequently have people coming in every single month in order to make revenue. Let's say we make 5,000 one month, then we go back to, we start the next month at 0.
Right.
So from a business standpoint, it doesn't make any sense because at that point it's working a job because you're like, oh, well, I got to hustle even more.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? Okay, this is cool, but like we got to take the risk. Like, let's go to a subscription-based model. So we pretty much went cold turkey on the per accounts and then started subscription model. Obviously, it was a struggle to build up. Probably 10 clients the first month. Okay. And then at this point, we were doing Facebook ads. I was like, okay, well, this is working, but it's not working. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to just do it. Like I've always said, like I wanted to be big on social. So I just put my face out there.
Nice.
And then that's what started slowly drawing attention. People saw I was getting other people results. I was educating them on how to use credit cards, what they should and they shouldn't do. And it just started becoming more interesting. And then sure enough, that subscription-based model keeps, it's like keeps the business running.
Right.
And then you start scaling and scaling and scaling. Right. So I want to say we switched over subscription model to like around April of 2021. Right. And then it was a slow build up from April to September. Super slow build up. Then September, it was like a random Saturday night. I was bored. I was like, let me just go to the office. I'm gonna film some TikToks. Yeah. Little did I know, the next morning when I wake up, that video was gonna go viral. Nice. So it went like 1.8 million views. Wow. And it just went insane. So then that whole month we had over like 600 appointments. Wow. And then that carried on over to the next month and the next month. So we ended up 2021 pretty strong. Nice. And then after that, I mean, it was just, we're doing the right thing for people. Yeah. And when you're doing right by people, it's like the universe knows, so it's like, I don't like, screwing anybody over. I'm big on like what you put out, you get. Right. You get back. So we were helping people saw it, and then that's what helped build the business. And then just doing that same model just helps us keep on growing. Cool. I have a couple questions for you. Like the first thing, the subscription-based model, that's huge because like everyone's doing it, even like Disney, for example. I remember when I was a kid, I'd go out there and like my mom would go buy me the Disney movie, right? $20, whatever it was. But now it's Disney Plus, $7 a month, right? And you got all the movies on there, but they're getting paid every single month regardless. So, I think it's the new model, and I think it's the way that you can, like you said, succeed. So that's cool that you guys did that shift before you went viral. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because, that would have been not good. So, and then at the same time, we keep it fair priced, that way clients, they're not coming out like, oh, well, I got to come super out of pocket for it. Right. We want to be fair to everybody. We know how it is. We've been in those shoes before where you have those financial struggles. So we really want to be like the company, the one that, helps you get back on track without feeling like you got to break the bank. For sure. So I have a client, probably started working with us November, had a bankruptcy, everything, like everything was bad on there, and he's like, I have faith in you. I was like, all right, cool. Like, let's get it done. Yeah. Just last week, he sent me a picture. He got a brand new Jeep. Nice. 50,000 approval. Nice. I was like, nice, so it's something that just gives you so much satisfaction. Right. Because that was his goal from the day one. He told me, he's like, Evert, I need you to get me into a new car. I know you can do it. Yeah. I was like, all right, I got you. Let's do it. Yeah. So it's very fulfilling. Like you said, you're looking for that fulfillment, right? Yeah. So, and I think too, when you're in business, it's okay to be picky with who you work with. Right. A lot of people want to take on every single person that comes into the door as a client. Right. And I think for your own mental sake, sometimes you shouldn't. For sure. So I'll have people who I'm like, I'll cut clients. I'm like, this isn't going to work out. Yeah. Like, just because I shouldn't have to carry your burdens onto me. Right. So that's a big tip. Oh, heck yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had to learn that the hard way. And it's like, dude, it's not even worth the money. Like, for your own mental sake, like you said, it's like, dude, just keep your money. Yeah. So like, I'll have people like, oh, well, this isn't working. I'm like, hey, like every credit report is different. Like, I'm not guaranteeing you in 6 months you'll be good to go. I'll guarantee you that we're going to do what we need to be doing. But at the end of the day, like, this is a you help me, I help you process.
Right.
You know, so that's where you kind of have to draw that fine line. So be picky with who you work with.
For sure. I have a question about your virality video. So, because you said, it was on a Saturday, you kind of just bored. You're like, hey, you want to just go to the office and shoot some TikTok videos.
Yeah.
And little did you know, next morning you had, over 1 million views. So what's the secret sauce? Because you didn't even know it was going to be viral.
Yeah, no, I didn't know. But then when we started analyzing the video, like, I kind of understood why it went viral.
Okay.
So everybody talks about it. It's the hook.
Mm-hmm.
So on this specific video, I was talking. So one, it was in Spanish. So the video was in Spanish, and then I was talking about getting a car. So everybody, when they go to get a car, they just go straight up to dealership, get 20, 30 inquiries, and then, oh, well, I think I got a good deal. Little did they know they could have gotten a better deal if they went about it differently.
Right.
So I think I just started off with, if you're wanting to buy a car, this is how you should do it. In Spanish. And then kind of when it's in Spanish, it kind of throws people off.
Right.
Like, why is this kid telling me how to do it? So I'll get that a lot. And then, I mean, obviously, like, when I talk in Spanish, I have a very heavy Salvadorian accent.
Yeah.
So I try to, like, hide it when it comes to like TikTok, just so it could be kind of neutral.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing I've learned. Like, a lot of people will not like you just because of a certain way that you talk.
Right.
So I'm like, let me keep it neutral so I can get a larger audience reach. And then, yeah, I mean, that went viral. Obviously, some people were like, oh, you're a no sabo kid. I'm like, okay, cool. Whatever. Like, I'm one, like, financial words are super hard to say in Spanish,
Right.
So I was like, whatever. So, yeah, that ended up working. And honestly, it was a pretty long video, too. I want to say it was, like, close to a minute. So for the fact that it went viral for a minute-long video, it had a pretty big retention time.
Nice.
So that's really what it was, the hook.
Right.
Like, and that's kind of what I tell the guys at the office, too. When you're making your videos, like, it comes down to 3 things. First off, nobody cares who you are. The second is why should I listen to you? And
right.
3 is, what can you do for me?
Right.
Maybe not in that order, but those are like 3 concepts. Like, for one, like, kind of when it comes to building up a business too. So now we're doing like a different branch in our business, and I got my two friends, business partners, building that division up. So obviously I'm guiding them through it, and then they're filming, oh, hey, this is so and so. I'm like, nah, bro, what are you doing? Like, nobody cares who you are. Like, not even to be rude or anything.
Yeah.
But people's attention span is so short nowadays.
Right.
If like, I've never done an introduction video like, hey, this is Ever, this is what I can do. Like, it's always been like, hey, you know what? This is what I can do for you. This is how I can help you. And here you go.
Right.
So keeping it short, sweet, and simple, like, it's always the way to go.
For sure. And I think what it reminds me of, it's like, kind of the natural species, right? Like, for example, animals, like, whenever they're together, right, they're congregated. And then let's say I come and walk towards the birds, like, the birds will fly in different directions. Yeah. And that's because it's like every bird for itself. So, in a sense, like, we have the natural feeling of like just kind of being like selfish, or like, hey, what is it in it for me? Yeah. Right. I don't care about who you are. It's like, what's in it for me? Why should I pay attention to you?
Yeah. So how is this 15-second video going to change my life? Right. Or help me? So that's always something that I'm big on. Like, I know you want to introduce yourself, be proper and all that. Yeah. But people's retention span is so short. Like, yeah, you shouldn't waste that time when it could be into giving them valuable information. Right. So that one's gone viral. And then I've had a few other ones, and it's really just following the trends on TikTok. I guess I get pretty creative with it. There'll be certain sounds that I'm like, oh, there's no way I can do a video with this regarding credit. Next thing you know, I'm doing a video with credit. So it's just about being creative and having fun with it. Right. Like, TikTok kind of makes it seem like you could have your own little music video when it comes to life. Nice. So that's how I see it. Yeah. That's cool. So following the trends too, that way like what's trending right now, type of music, right? And how can you fit it into your industry? Yeah, it just sounds like there was a trend going on a while ago. It was like the City Girl song. So people are like, oh, if he calls me or something, whatever. And I was like, how can I switch this? And then I was like, well, everybody loves Hellcats, So I was like, oh, whatever. Like, you're talking about Hellcats. Well, how you gonna get a Hellcat? You got like a 580 credit score, paying 20-some% interest, whatever, Yeah. So stuff like that. Just being creative with it. Even if it's cheesy, right? Cheesy works. Yeah. Like, then I had another video that went viral earlier this year. like 5-second video.
Oh, nice.
So it was just that future laugh. It was like, oh, sensational.
Wow.
That's literally all I said in the video. It was like 500,000 views. And then that generated a lot of business. So
yeah,
it's cool.
That's awesome. That's cool. And I think what is interesting is that your credit business, like you personally kind of were affected by it, right?
Yeah.
So you're like, at first you're like, oh, I don't need credit, and then it was like, oh damn, I kind of do need credit.
Oh yeah.
And then you're like, you started learning the ins and outs of it, and then you just use your marketing skills to like, push that all the way up.
Yeah. So it's like when I go out, like, flash the credit card.
Oh, nice.
It's like obviously like I also practice what I preach.
Right.
So people kind of see that and like, oh well, I kind of like now it's funny. Like I was just talking with my business partners. Like it's funny. Like before I wanted to be like, oh, that guy. I want to be like that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And now I am that guy that people say like, oh, I want to be like that. So I'm like, it's crazy how it goes full circle,
Right.
But at the same time, like I just feel like I'm just recording my life at this point.
Right.
If I go out to eat, like a bill's on me. Let me get my points.
Yeah.
If I go to a hotel stay, okay, I'm gonna get my points.
Yeah.
So it's just stuff like that, and I mean, it comes back full circle because everybody's like, okay, well, he's actually doing it. Like maybe he's a little bit right.
Right.
So then people kind of you build that authority.
Right.
You want to be that leader in your field.
For sure. Now, how do you stay consistent? Like, for me, that's one of the stuff, the things that I struggle with in the beginning is like being consistent. Because there's some people that try to do social media and then they stop. And then they just try to come back and then it's like they stop. So what's like your kind of routine to like you just do this, on a daily?
Mental breaks. Like TikTok is a lot sometimes just because you like honestly I believe in dopamine levels a lot. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes you just get too much of it and you get overwhelmed. Like I would say I'm a perfect mix between being an introvert and an extrovert. Mm. So for me, sometimes I get too much. It's just like, okay, like I gotta take a break.
Yeah. So
I don't think I've posted on TikTok for like the last 2-3 weeks, just because I'm like, let me just chill, like kind of slow it down a little bit, because like it gets to a lot. Like you got messages coming in left and right, and then your phone blowing up, and it's just like, bro, I just want to breathe, So taking those little mental breaks, honestly, they do me wonders.
For sure.
Then on Instagram's a little different. Like I can just post a story, what I'm doing throughout the day, and then just kind of keep people in the loop.
Right.
But mental breaks for sure. Like that's what helps me keep, like consistent. So then I took this. I actually want to say all of December. I took December off. Like I wasn't really posting. Like I was just traveling, enjoying time with family.
Nice.
January, probably towards the end, that's when I really started posting again. Mm-hmm. Then I did like a good month and a half run. Took another break right now, but I'm gonna just get back to it right now, and then I'll probably just go hard for the rest of the year.
That's cool. Yeah, I think breaks are key because it can get, just like anything, if you're on a treadmill, like eventually you're going to get tired.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, dude, you're going to switch it up. It's like, I got to do weights now.
Yeah, and it's draining too. Like, I mean, you're like especially when like us, we don't have a whole media team behind us. We got to be the ones behind the screen.
Right.
So 100 messages a day. It's like, dang, man, like it's a lot of people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like it's a blessing.
Right.
Like if you really think about it, like even on a viral video, like if you reach 1 million people, how long in your life is it going to take you to talk to 1 million people?
Right.
Like, I don't even know if it's possible, Like, it might be, but you'll probably be like 50, 60s.
Right.
So the fact that we're able to do that in such a short amount of time,
right,
like it's a blessing.
For sure.
And then you have all these people reaching out to you. So
nice. That's awesome. And I think another thing to add to that is like also getting out of your environment. Because like for me, like if I'm I'm a CPA, right? So I'm always in the office behind a computer screen, and it's like I'm not gonna get any creativity. It's gonna be very hard for me to get creativity behind a desk. Oh, yeah. Like I need to go out and be out somewhere that's out of my comfort zone, out of my normal environment. And it's like that's where the creativity like sparks. And like, oh, dude, I got this idea. I got this idea now. And that's what's worked for me, especially when you're in like an office environment. And I would imagine as like a credit agency, like what do you do to kind of spark your creativity?
I love traveling. Going out to eat. Honestly, just doing random things sometimes. Yeah. But traveling for sure. Like once I started traveling, it really opened up my mind to a lot of things. Like I was like, yo, like the world is huge. You know, like last year around this time, I ended up going back to El Salvador. So it's been like 12 years that I had gone, and then like going back now, like it was just like, okay, it's cool, So you kind of see everything from a different perspective. Yeah, you take life in the States way more we take it for granted sometimes.
Right.
So you start to like learn to appreciate things. Like, you know, people in third world countries, like they have the hustle, they have the work ethic. It's just lack of resources,
Right.
or just the fact that the way that how the country is set up.
Right.
And then kind of goes back to my parents. Like, I mean, I'm big on doing it for my parents. So it's like the fact that my parents were able to immigrate from El Salvador to here, you know, like if they're able to travel that distance, there's literally no excuse for me not to do anything.
For sure.
You know, like there's no excuse. Like I have to go hard for my parents, and then also for like everybody around me. Like I want to set everybody up to win around me.
Yeah, knowing your why is like, hey, who am I doing this for? Like you said, for you as your parents, it's like, man, if they went through that, why can't I just do something big? And I think what was, you know, traveling is important, right? Because like you said, it just almost like humbles you down a little bit.
Oh, definitely. You know, you start to realize, oh, well, I kind of have it good in the States. You know, even if you're having a bad day, you know, like you still have a roof to go, a roof, you know,
right?
You still have some access to some food, you know.
Yeah.
So taking those things, don't take them lightly,
right?
You know, even if, you know, I know like when you're younger, you know, trying to start things up, like you might be in a disagreement with your parents, but your parents are always right.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but like my mom's always right.
Yeah.
You know, so I got to give it to her.
For sure. Yeah, like you said, you know, just being grateful, right? Like for us, for example, here at the office, we start every morning with the morning huddle, and we always start our day with gratitude. So we write down like 3 things that we're grateful for, because it's really easy to like just take things for granted. And then not until like for me, like writing it down too on a piece of paper, it just makes it like so more real.
Yeah.
It's like the little things. It's like, damn, you know, I'm happy for this relationship.
Yeah. You know, like the biggest things, like I'm big on like big 3 is God, family, and business. You know, those 3 things, like those are my staples to life. You know,
nice.
Like, you know, you be thankful to God, you know, family, and then, you know, do your best in business.
For sure.
You know, so being grateful is a big part of everything.
100%. Cool, man. Now, if someone wants to like, you know, is interested in either connecting with you, or if they want like help with credit, like what's the best way for them to contact you?
Instagram, really. Instagram, or if not, you know, going onto our website, making an appointment, you know, either me or one of the specialists at the office will give people a call, kind of see what their situation is, analyze it, and then see how we can help them.
For sure. For sure. And what are you excited about, like going forward? Like what do you have planned out? You know, looking forward to 2022 and then 2023.
2022, really just build my brand up even more, personal brand, really. And in 2023, I want to be at least in the conversation as one of the biggest credit repair, you know, I guess, people when it comes into the field. If not, primarily though, I would want to be one of the biggest names in the Hispanic credit or Hispanic financial community.
Nice.
So, I mean, I know you're kind of headed there that way, you know, so
yeah,
you know, kind of want to be there because, I mean, there's not a lot of people who look like us,
right,
representing for like our people,
right?
You know, even if there are, like, it's sometimes like a lot of people kind of get too greedy and don't want to give back to our community,
right?
So I'm always, you know, even if it's some simple Instagram story that's gonna help them, you know, save money on interest or something like that, then I'm all for it.
For sure.
I want to give back.
That's exciting, man. Yeah, because for me too, I'm trying to be like the biggest CPA firm, you know, the biggest CPA for the Hispanic community. Well, anybody in general, but specifically the Hispanics. And like I was telling this story to my account executive. I was like, you know, Donald Trump, you know, his CPA, he only paid $750 in taxes, and he made like millions or billions of dollars, right? So why can't a Hispanic, let's say they're crushing it in business, right? Why can't they have access to a CPA like the one that Trump has?
Yeah, I could have used it.
Well, I want, I want that to be me.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like, I'm gonna be the you know, Donald Trump's, the Hispanic version of Donald Trump's CPA.
Yeah,
right.
Like everything that we want to do has already been done before. It just hasn't been done for the Hispanics by Hispanics. For sure.
Yeah, and I think whenever like you said, not a lot of people have our, you know, our faces, or just, you know, and there's not a lot of people who do that. Especially what I've seen, like the Hispanic community, like they work hard, right? But they didn't have the resources, like you were saying, or they didn't have the tools to be able, or the education. And now the younger generation does have that. So it's like the Latino community, the Hispanic community now is starting to step up their game, which is awesome.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's great to see it, you know, like I'll have like younger guys reach out to me like, hey man, like you know, thank you, like, you know, I never had anybody like teach me about credit, you know, how to use it. So I mean, just being that bigger example, you know, to kind of like a big brother to them.
For sure.
So it works out.
That's awesome, man. So for my listeners that are listening to you, Instagram handle is Evert T Jafet, and then TikTok is at Credit Sherby. So those are both of your handles right there, but I'm sure they probably don't even have to look it up just because you're Virality.
I mean, hopefully. So we're trying to go more viral this year, so we'll see how it goes.
For sure, man. Thanks for being on the show, Evert.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks for having me.